In this video, we will learn how to integrate Vue with JointJS+. We will use the Vue CLI to scaffold our project, but if you want to use Vite or some other tool, you are free to do so. The process will be much the same. To create our project, we will use the following command: vue create and the name of our project. Then we will have to answer a few questions, so we will choose manually select features. Then we have to toggle some items. We will just use TypeScript for this application. And we will also use the latest version of Vue. We will choose yes to use class style component syntax. We will choose yes to use Babel alongside TypeScript. And we will choose in dedicated config files, and we won't save this preset for the future. Afterwards, we can change into the project directory. Now we can open the project in our code editor. And you should be presented with some similar file structure, which you can see here. And the next step is to copy the JointJS Plus installable package to the root of your project structure. We also want to add the JointJS Plus code to our dependencies. So if you open package.json, you can copy the JointJS Plus dependency here. So on the left, we have the name of our package in node modules, and on the right, we have the path to the installable package, which points to our root here. So on the left, we can call this anything we would like. So I will call it JointJS Plus. So this will be the name of the package in node modules, as I said. In this project, we will also use the class-based syntax, which we mentioned earlier. So we will add one more property to our TS config. So we will add strict property initialization false. We can go ahead and run npm install. And when that is finished, you can see we have a serve command in our scripts in package.json. So we will go ahead and run npm run serve. We can see that the project is now running successfully on localhost. So we can go ahead and open that in our browser. And you can see the basic project is running now. So before we get started with the JointJS Plus code, we will also perform some basic cleanup. So we have some assets and components folders. So we will remove these directories. Then we can look at app.vue. So in our template, we can basically remove everything between these tags. We can also remove the content of the options decorator. And we can remove all of the styles here too. And lastly, we can also remove this import of the Hello World component. So we will add some simple styles in our style tag. This name can be whatever you called the package in your node modules. The first rule is an ID of app with a width and height of 100 in viewport units and 0 margin. Next, we have a canvas class with a width and height of 100%. And lastly, we have a border on our JointJS paper. In our template, we will also create a div element, which will be the container for our application. It has a class of canvas and also a reference property. So this allows us to access an HTML element from a script tag. If we move on to the class component, we will create a few properties. So first we declare a refs property. So this allows us to assign a type to our canvas reference. We also create properties for our graph, paper, and scroller. We can also import the relevant JointJS code at the top. So again, we can change this to whatever we call the package in our node modules. Now it's time to create some JointJS Plus components. So we will do this inside a Vue lifecycle method called created, which you can see here. So the following code you will probably be familiar with maybe. So first we create our JointJS graph, then we create our JointJS paper with some familiar properties, and lastly we create an instance of our paper scroller. So there are a few more items we should add in this created lifecycle method. So first we would like to render the paper scroller. On the next line we add a standard rectangle with some basic properties, and lastly we add this rectangle to our graph too. Next we will use another view lifecycle method called mounted. This will allow us to use our refs to access DOM elements. So inside the lifecycle mounted method, we will access our scroller and paper variables. We will also access our canvas reference too. So on the next line, we will append the paper scroller to the canvas. This is the DOM element we created earlier. Then we will center the paper scroller. And lastly, we will unfreeze the paper because we are using async mode. So if we save this code, you will see our application is visible in the browser. So that's all it takes to integrate Vue with JointJS+. So if you would like to view the source code of this application, you can visit our website jointjs.com, and you will be able to see a Vue tutorial there. So thanks for watching.